Hey guys, Fantasy Football Guy here from Fantasy Sports Up, and today my video is going to be on the top pickups at each position. I'll go over the top three at each position, let you know if it's a real, if it's a real person who's worth the pickup, or if it's just a hot start or just trends or something like that. So first will be Trevor Siemian, who is a top 5 quarterback in fantasy right now. In my league, you see his PRK, his position rank is number 2. He had 2 very good games in my league. My league has 6 points per touchdown, which is why I might like a little inflated. I think Simeon is really fitting into the system. I think he's worth a pickup, but not a QB1 yet. I think if he can play well against Buffalo and Oakland, put up 20 plus points. Honestly, if he can go 18 or higher, I would say he's a low end QB1. But honestly, right now he's playing kind of like Drew Brees, to be honest. 6 touchdowns, or like Stafford almost. So he is worth a pickup. Next, we have Carson Wentz. So Carson Wentz, as you can see here, top 300 passing yards in both weeks. Has 4 total touchdowns, but has 3 turnovers. That's not what you want to see. And honestly, last week against Kansas City, instead of having that huge gain where Zach Ertz caught it off of, I think Mitchell, it bounced off Mitchell's arms, I believe, on Kansas City defense, that should have been another pick. So he could have even gone down to like 24, 25 points. But regardless, over 20 points a game is pretty worth it. I picked him up in my league, and he is my starting quarterback this week, even though he's playing the Giants. My other quarterbacks are Jameis Winston and Mariota, so I dropped Mariota. But you know what? I don't really have much of a choice, and I lost last week, so I got to make a couple pickups. And third is Deshaun Watson, who had 7.6 points in week 1. He struggled a little bit, but only played in 1.5. Don't forget that. If you double that up, that's about 15.5 points. But against Cincinnati, it's 17.7. So that was honestly a bit of a lucky thing because he had a large run at the end of the half for a touchdown. So I think Deshaun Watson is not worth the pickup. Trevor Siemian and Carson Wentz are worth the pickup. Next, we'll go to running backs. So at running back, pickup number 1, Chris Carson. So why is Chris Carson picked up so much, at least in ESPN leagues? Well, it's because Chris Carson is likely the starter for the Seattle Seahawks, and he plays kind of like Marshawn. Not to the same extent, don't get me wrong, he's not going to be the next beast mode, but he plays kind of like he gets a lot of carries. He's top heavy, he can truck. So Chris Carson, to me, well worth the pickup. If you guys remember Thomas Rawls a couple years ago when he came in undrafted and was like insane, one of the best rookie running backs in the league that year, that's what I think Chris Carson will be like this year with less receptions, I believe. Because, yeah, he had 1 reception for 7 yards. So that's what I expect out of him. Next, Buck Allen or Javorius Allen, if you're looking for him on the waiver wire. Javorius Allen had 18.6 points in week 2 and 7.1 in week 1. So when Danny Woodhead is on IR, so I believe he's out at least 6 weeks. I think that's a minimum that you can be on IR before being pulled off of it. Javorius Buck Allen is worth a pickup as well. Same with Chris Carson, guys. And this is why I say this. I say this because of the fact that Danny Woodhead is out, and Terrence West also is a little bit banged up. What does that mean? That means Javorius Allen, who had 14 carries for 66 yards and 5 receptions for 35 yards and a touchdown in week 2, will keep up not that same pace, but he could get you a Theo Riddick type output, meaning like 5 to 7 catches, 30 to 50 receiving yards, and like 50 rushing yards, which in PPR will give you like 13, 14 points a game. He's a running back 2, a high running back 2, if he keeps up this role. Last but not least, we have Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is worth a pickup as well, especially if you're a DeMarco Murray owner. If you're not a DeMarco Murray owner, I would say that he's worth a pickup as well, but don't drop him for someone who's proven or has a guaranteed role if you have the option to do that. For example, I know some people are dropping. The guy next on the list is Chris Thompson. I saw one guy in one of my other leagues drop Chris Thompson for Derrick Henry, but Chris Thompson is in a better role because he's guaranteed to get touches. Well, Derrick Henry isn't necessarily guaranteed to get touches. So what I would say is Derrick Henry is worth a pickup as long as you're not dropping someone who has a guaranteed role in their specific offense. Now to wide receiver, we have J.J. Nelson. So J.J. Nelson is balling with John Brown out and with David Johnson out because Carson Palmer is forced to air the ball out more. I think J.J. Nelson is also worth a pickup. He could be your flex starter, or a wide, depending on how big your league is, wide receiver 3/flex starter, depending on who else you have on your roster. I did not get a chance to pick him up. I put in my waiver claim for him in my Who Dat Nation team. Did not get him, but he's definitely worth a wide receiver 3/flex, so he's worth a roster spot. Next, Jermaine Kearse. He is also picked up a lot, and because of the fact that he's really the only wide receiver on the Jets who can really make an impact aside from maybe Robbie Anderson, but Robbie Anderson is a poor man's Deshaun at best. Jermaine Kearse could be a top 20 wide receiver from this point on. He caught 2 touchdowns, which is that's a little bit lucky because Oakland's defense isn't great, but Jermaine Kearse is in the exact same position as J.J. Nelson to me. Slightly less upside because of the fact that he's not as fast, but Jermaine Kearse is a number 1 receiver in an offense that, although is not good, hasn't looked as bad as projected. So Jermaine Kearse is worth a pickup. Last but not least, Mohamed Sanu. So Mohamed Sanu is being picked up due to he had 11 points last week in my league, but he would have had about, I think 13 points. No, 12 and a half, I believe. So Sanu has 15 targets and 11 catches in week 2. In the first 2 weeks, as it says in his little description here. I think Sanu is worth a pickup, but he's the kind of guy you'd bench and play on a bye week or a spot start. And last, we will go to the tight ends and go to the top pickups at tight end. So top pickup number 1, Eric Ebron. So why was he picked up? Well, because he had a really good week last week. Ebron, I do not think is worth a pickup. This is why I say that. A lot of people I know aren't going to agree with this. I think that because of the fact that Ebron throughout his career has been so inconsistent. Good game, bad game, good game, bad game. And he'll have a stretch of nothing and a stretch of good games. And Ebron, in my opinion, is not worth it. But if you really need a tight end, I would not pick him up. I'll pick the next guy up on my list. That's Jack Doyle. So Jack Doyle had 11.9 points. With Jacoby Brissett now under center, Jack Doyle is likely to see more targets. Along with seeing more targets, he's likely to see more work in the red zone. And because of the fact that Jack Doyle is kind of like, aside from T.Y., like the number 2 option, even him and Moncrief are like the 2B, 2C thing. So that's it, guys, and peace.